Okay, it's health check time. We saw in the number 10 video in my playlist, this video, we saw we have a problem with load balancing. And what was the problem? If you didn't see this video, number 10 video in my playlist, I strongly suggest you see that video. After that we come to this video, but I will describe it briefly. When our HA proxy is load balancing all incoming traffic to the backend server. For example, we have 3 backend server here, and one of our backend server would fail. What would happen in this situation? We lost 1/3 of all incoming traffic because the HA proxy is not aware about our backend server status, because we didn't enable health check in our HA proxy server. But in this video I'm gonna to configure HA proxy health check and test it to see what would happen when we enable health check in our HA proxy. But before going to the detail of health check, it is required to know what is the HTTP communication process. We know when we have a client and a server, our client would request to server. It is the beginning of the communication process. It requests server, and the server will respond to our client, and this response begin with a start line. This request start with a start line. First line in request is a start line, and first line in response is a status line. And there are some method for our client to create this request method. Our client can use get, can use head, post, put, delete, or option. What does mean that? What is those method? We use get to ask our server. For example, our server have a file here in the, for example, in var www html docs. We have a file called test.html. Our client using get command will ask server, give me information inside of this file, and server will respond to the client with some information in the header, and the body of message would be information inside of this file. And to put some information, it is receiving, our client is receiving this information. But if our client wants to create some information inside of this server, would use post. For example, create user arma. It uses post, but imagine we have a fail. It is not arma. We need to create, for example, user joy. We would use put. At first we use post method, after that we use put method to update existed information in our server. And if we want to delete joy user, we would use delete method. And option method is used to ask our server what is the permitted communication with you. Also, I'm going to speak about head, but at the time leave it alone and continue to the HTTP communication header and HTTP communication messages. It is our client and it is our server. As I said, in docs there are a file called test.html, and this file contains my home page. Our client opened a browser, for example, Firefox, and our client wants the information inside of this file. It creates a message like it, and using get method ask from this server, give me information inside of this file, and we are using HTTP 1.1. The first line is request line. After that we have request header or request message header. After that we have a blank line, and this is the request message body. Send to server, and server will respond with this information. First line is a status line. After that we have response header and a blank line, and this is a body. When we use head method, we don't have this part. We would only have this part, not the body. Let's see this in the production environment. I would curl dash v2, for example, HTTP. Let me see what is running. Curl dash v local host port 8002. Here is the information we spoke about. This is the request this part is this is my request, this is my response, here is the blank line, and this is the body. As you see, this is my status line, this is my request line. I'm asking this server, and there are some status message. 200 means okay, you are asking correctly and I answering you. So everything is crystal clear. I think this is this part, this is this request line, and this is a request header. But what would happen if I ask this from server? You know, I have, this is the request. I'm asking server, give me all information in your port 8020. This is the answer with a status code 500, internal server error. This is the blank line, and it's my body, which is internal server error. Let's look what that means. We saw at first I ask server, give me all information in port 802. It answered me with status code 200. But when I ask for information in port 8020, it give me 500 status code. And what does mean that? There are some status code, a status response code. At first we had 200 response, which is successful. It means our client asked for a file which existed in our server, and our server respond to us and everything is fine. But 500 means you are asking something which is not existed in server. For example, here we have file test.html, but you are asking for file test with double t.html. So I don't have this file. If we have 400 till 499 code, it means our client have some issue. If we have a status code 500, that means our server have some issue. 200 means it was successful and everything is fine. But in a situation our web server is behind an ether proxy or reverse proxy or anything else, we would have 300 code.